I've been asked to present on Caribbean agriculture and One Health in an era of climate change. And before I share my screen, let me just say that most of the information I'll be presenting here will be available on the slides that you'll have access to subsequent to the actual webinar. Yes, so Caribbean agriculture and One Health in an era of climate change. I've set myself 3 objectives: to very briefly cycle through the overlapping phases of CARICOM-wide agricultural efforts, to examine agriculture's nexus with human health, and to suggest possible areas for further intersectoral research. Now, in terms of these overlapping phases of CARICOM-wide agricultural efforts, and I'm sticking to CARICOM countries now, is where my expertise resides, in that you had this era where increased productivity was at the forefront. In late 1960s, early 1970s, with the impact of the Green Revolution, you had the proliferation in the use of agrochemicals, ranging from soil ameliorants, fertilizers, pesticides of all forms. And with their increased usage over the years, it became very apparent that there were aspects of this increased productivity that impinged on human health. And that's when the food safety concerns became more apparent. That was also the era of One Health. And it was around that time that veterinary public health and human health concerns became even more apparent in terms of food safety concerns. That era was overlapped with an era of environmental sustainability, which is where we are right now in terms of impacts of climate change and the fact that we are not only concerned about increased productivity now and producing safe food, but also producing in a sustainable way, in an environmentally sustainable way. So that takes us to this Caribbean agriculture now in the era of climate change. And most countries are attempting to implement a comprehensive climate smart agriculture. Ideally, this is meant to improve food security and agricultural productivity and increase the resilience of farming systems to climate change by adaptation whilst capturing potential mitigation co-benefits. Now, health, as defined by the World Health Organization, is supposed to be a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Now, this whole era of One Health, which has now been overlapped by concerns about planetary health. But in my time, we recognize the interconnections between soil health in terms of the types of nutrients and a microbiome that might be mirrored in the gut, in terms of soil health, plant health in terms of the nutrients within the plants that we're using as food, and contaminants, whether they be chemical, physical, biological. Animal health concerns as well, in terms of the nutrients that will be provided. What type of contaminants, again, chemical, physical, and biological. And of course, the spread of zoonoses was the major focus around that in the early days of One Health. And as far as human health goes, of course, the contribution to nutrition, to being able to transmit infectious organisms or entities that can infest the human body, injury, and of course, the overall well-being in keeping with that overall concept of One Health, of health, where one is not only concerned about the absence of disease, but of course, overall well-being. Now, the agriculture health nexus implies that we should be looking at it in the light of a triple platform, where agriculture has a role to play in nutrition, in terms of how you boost your immune system, which is extremely relevant in this era, in this COVID era. And how do you reduce your non-communicable diseases? How do you grow? How does the entity or your human grow? Where are you getting your source of energy? And how are you going to repair your body? So from the point of view of nutrition, agriculture is seen as having a central role. We already mentioned food safety in terms of reduced infection and infestation and injury from physical physical contaminants, etc. And of course, there's also green space management, which has to do with overall well-being. I don't think agriculture gets enough credit for that, because we are the stewards of the biotic environment out there. Everything green, everything, all the flora and fauna out there, really is very part of our purview. And within that context, I want to mention veterinary medicine and the contribution that agriculture makes to pets and to working animals, and so in terms of their therapeutic and other value, as opposed to just the raising of animals for food. Now, in terms of areas for further intersectoral research, I am really, really keen on seeing increased investigations on the links between soil and gut microbiomes, especially under differing climate-smart agriculture operations. More work on food safety, bioaccumulation, One Health, or as is more fashionable nowadays, planetary health, and which is, of course, this underlying essence or core of this entire webinar series. And then syndemic implications of NCDs, which are non-communicable diseases, and NDCs, which are nationally determined contributions. I want to spend some time on this last one, because I think we are missing a few steps by not having the ministries of health and agriculture approach their nationally designated authorities, in each of these CARICOM countries, where the substantial efforts being made to draw down on GCF funding, this is the Green Climate Fund funding, is being stymied by this siloed approach. I think we have missed a step by not seeing the links between non-communicable diseases and your nationally determined contribution, because we have misplaced our emphasis in terms of where these NDCs are going to be determined from, in the sense that most countries in the Caribbean have been looking at energy and transport and not necessarily as agriculture. Even within the rubric of AFOLU, which is agriculture, forestry, and other land uses, we have still not captured the significant mitigative potential of the agricultural sector to reduce non-communicable diseases. And I'm hoping that during the question and answer period, I'll have a chance to elaborate more extensively on that. So I thank you for your attention, and back to you, moderator.